I had to fix that camera. So, hey guys, Warvet here. Wanted to make a video on my um, Templar Paladin build. Made a couple videos showing some gameplay, solo running through a delve, and there's another one fighting a group of bosses, and another one taking out an anchor solo. So, get a couple of requests on there, and I was kind of wanting to do this anyways. Is kind of show off this build and give you some ideas on, how if you want to make a paladin type build, or have basically more of a hybrid tank, you can do that. So it's definitely, probably not the best build there is for tanking or DPS or something like that, but it's a really good build for versatility, for soloing, being able to sustain and survive and put out enough DPS, and and then you can switch a couple of things up if you do want to. If you are in a group and you are going to be the main tank, you can kind of make yourself a little more tanky. So how it starts off is I'll show you the skills that I use, then kind of the armor and how we kind of put it together and craft it and stuff, the idea of it, and then some ideas to tweak that if you were to do different kinds of things. What it currently is set up as is mainly for soloing. So you have a little bit of tank and defense abilities, but you have enough magic and DPS to kill anything, before it gets too bad. So jump into the skills, and basically the cool thing about this build too is it really only takes one bar. The second bar, you have a couple of extra skills on there for healing, just in case something, it gets real tough. So what I start off with is I have shielded assault. And so this is my gap closer, so you can make the run that you're doing, if you're running through a delve or whatever it is, a lot quicker. The one thing that's really cool about this is even if your path to that target is obstructed, it'll automatically take you around it and back in it and hit the target. When it hits the target, it'll knock them down and stun them. The cool thing is that it knocks them down, and so they have to get up for a little bit. So it has an initial control. When you initially start a fight with something, you initially control the situation, and then it also gives you this damage shield that's the morph of it, so it absorbs a little bit of damage there. So when you initially hit someone and the other guys in the mob, the other enemies start hitting you, they're going to basically do no damage, up to 1498, up to 1500 damage. So, and that scales on your level. So it's a good opener, basically. Then this ransack, you could definitely switch this out if you were just soloing. I have it on just so I'm real comfortable and aware of how to use it for when I am with groups, because this is one of the only taunts in the game. So if you're tank and you want to keep aggro from the enemies, you use this. So you stab them. I also use it because it kind of sets them up to do the damage later on. So I'll rush in, stab them. If I'm in a group, I'll stab everyone I can, or stab all the monsters, so I get all the aggro as much as I can. But then it afflicts, major fracture here, reducing armor. So it reduces our armor for 12 seconds. So when you stab them, then you can do the rest of your attacks, and your buddies can do their attacks on them, and it kind of sets them up for it. And then you also gain minor resolve. So that's kind of the morph there, increasing your armor by 825 for 12 seconds, which is basically the time of the battle from the beginning. It shouldn't, even last that long. So basically, you'll rush in, you'll stab them, you'll reduce their armor, you'll knock them down, you'll get a damage absorption shield, you'll raise your, basically your armor, and you'll set them up to, then you can start killing them. So this is the main attack that I use, and so it's real cheap. And so you can just use it forever, basically. You can do it probably 30 times before your magic runs out. So it's really good for hitting your DPS, for hitting, not really DPS, but for hitting groups of monsters or enemies, taking them all out. And it also is really neat because the morph I use for kind of a more tanking ability is to heal you for 40% of the damage done. So you're just constantly hitting everyone and taking 40% of that damage back and healing yourself. So it kind of negates the damage that's hitting you as you're hitting everyone. So it can kind of keep you healed up as long as you're not taking heavy damage. And then this is the finisher that I use. And so this one, when they get low health, then you start blasting them with this ray, and you're doing, you can see all the damage that it does over a 3-second period of time. And then the morph again is to heal yourself. So this is actually a powerful heal spell, and I'll use it even if the enemies aren't low health and I need a heal. I'll hit them with that and it'll basically heal me up. And then I always cast this. It's real cheap, so you can always have it casted. And what it does is it's basically a rune of protection, so it gives you a standing ground to fight in. And if you do have to leave that rune to go, say, attack a wizard or a spellcaster that's a distance away, you can just recast this wherever you're standing at. And so what it does is it gives you, increases your armor and spell resistance by 4,400. So that's a huge increase. So once you're standing this spell, you're pretty well protected, especially with, the damage shield here. You can even, after the damage shield, after it runs out in 6 seconds and you're still fighting, you can just take a few steps back, charge them again just to bust that damage shield up. So that damage shield plus all the other damage shields and healing and all that gives us a lot of sustainability. And then you can kind of see too, one thing I have the morph on it too is regenerates my magicka. So what this does is gives them more of a long-term sustainability. So if I end a big fight and I use basically all my magicka and I'm running out, I can stand in this rune and basically just block and rely on my stamina until my magicka resolves or refills enough to where I can continue the main fight of it. And so this is the super that I use, or the ultimate that I use. The reason I pretty much use it is that it's low cost, so you can do it in every battle. It's not just a boss battle fight. Every time you come up to a mob of people, you can basically use this. I have the morph on it to give me more of a defense. So when I hit them, it gives me damage dealt to you by 15% for 18 seconds. So reduces the damage again while you're in it. So it's kind of all these things are stacking up. And so this is my main soloing run, I would say. If I were to switch these skills up to do, if I'm going into a dungeon, or I know I'm going to be doing a lot of dungeons, or I have groups of people, then a lot of times what I'll do is switch out the Radiant Glory, basically the enemy, the burn, the Holy Ray of Light. You can switch that out with, I think it is Absorb Magicka. And so you can cast this on. What's really neat about this is that it lasts for, let's see, where is it at? I think it's 30 seconds. Yeah, duration is 30 seconds. So that's pretty much the entire battle that you'll be in. So you cast that, and it gives you basically a bubble that if any spellcasters hit you with a direct spell, instead of it doing damage to you, it'll heal you and absorb that spell, basically. So if you know you're going to be having someone else to do the damage, you can rely on other party members to do damage or healing, then you can use this instead of worrying about using your Ray of Light to do damage. And you can cast this on, and it'll basically will negate big spellcaster attacks. So this is really good too if you know you're going to be fighting bosses or enemies where there's a lot of wizards. And it basically negates magic attacks. You still get hit with it, so I guess if you were to get hit and it brought you down to 0, it would kill you before it healed you, because you'll take the hit and then take the heal. Something to keep aware of there. But I'll switch that out, and then on my second bar, the only thing I use is basically the heal here, Honor of the Dead. So if things get real, if my health is going low, and basically I'm in kind of a no shit time, then I'll make sure I'm in my Rune of Protection, and then I'll just switch over and I can heal myself with this up, and then just keep myself alive, basically. Sometimes if it's real bad, you can heal yourself, and then do this one, which is the ritual. It takes a few seconds more to cast, but it heals you more, so you can pop this and then this. The rest of these are just there for fun. I don't even use them. And then I use this special as my secondary ultimate in case I am in a fight where I'm having a lot of trouble keeping my health up. Then I'll just use this as an ultimate. It's pretty cheap, and it can actually refill pretty quickly in a fight. So I can actually, instead of using my ultimate that it is for damage, I'll just switch and I'll only use this as an ultimate. It'll fully heal me and everyone around me. So you can use this a couple of times in the middle of a fight if you need to. But again, both of these, if you're in a group, you wouldn't really need it too much because you're going to have a healer who's taking care of you, so you can definitely switch all that stuff out. Important thing, I think, when you're doing a build is to make sure you have every passive unlocked. So what I'll do is I'll go through basically any skill line that I use or any passive that is at all helpful in any way, max them all out, and that'll help you all around with anything you want to do and any build. Is have every you know, everything we're using. So one-handed shield, I use that, so max all that out. And you just specifically read it, and if you don't use it, if there's something specifically you may not, you know, use, then don't waste the point on it. But if it's at all beneficial to you in any way, in any time, it's worth maxing all the spells, the passives out. I'm not using medium right now. One thing you can do is you can kind of play around and see if see, I could put more into that. I didn't even know I'd unlocked those yet, but still kind of working on light armor. But you can kind of play around. I've had sets of my loadout as far as armor. I've had medium, heavy, and light on before. Recently, what I've just done really now is I have 5 pieces of heavy, and so I have all that protection and all that bonuses. And then I have 2 pieces of light, so you can see my hood and my shoulder plates are light armor, so I get a little bonus to regeneration of magic. And again, that's basically boosting the more solo DPS. If I were to know I was going to be in a group and do dungeoning or anything like that, then I wouldn't rely on the magicka as much. I would rely on probably more of the stamina for sustainability and defense if I needed to. But one thing I do is I enchant all my armor too. So I craft it all, and I'll show you the sets I have. So I have 3 sets of armor on me. Basically 5 pieces of heavy armor, 2 pieces, my sword and shield is a set, and then my hood and my shoulder plates are a set also. And the idea in this was I'm going to let my armor boost my the abilities or the set piece bonuses to boost my health up. And then mainly in this build, what I've done is I've built primarily like a top magicka, a max magicka build, since I'm soloing and need all that magicka for DPS. And the more magicka you have, is you can heal yourself and you can keep yourself alive. So it does play out. So my sword and shield, I use the Death's Wind because I know I'm only have 2 items, so it gives me that physical resistance over there, basically more armor. And then offhand, same thing. I've got the shield, Death's Wind. So I have 2 sets, my switch weapons here. So my main weapons are the blue ones. Anyway, so I get the physical resistance with my sword and shield. And then you go to the head, and I have Ashen's Grip. And so this gives me a bonus to health. And there's my bonus to health with that, basically. And so each thing, you can see the increase the armor enchantment effect. I put all those traits on it, and then I enchant them all. What I've enchanted my full set of armor with is magicka, and that was to kind of test it out. So I have a lot of magicka. If I was dungeoning again, I would switch all that out and have health enchantment. So basically I'd switch out my max magicka with my max health, and I'd have a lot more health than magicka. If you're soloing and want more DPS inside of your build, then you want to have more magicka, so you can switch the enchantments out. And then I use White Strake. That's my main build right now, or my main set of armor. So I get all 5 bonuses to this. So you get another bonus to health, you get a bonus of spell resistance, and you gotta keep in mind too, this is all stacking on the rune that I cast too, that gives me spell resistance and armor resistances too. Gives me another bonus to health recovery. The big thing here is the special ability of White Strike's Retribution armor set. Whenever your health falls below 30%, you gain a 7,750 damage shield. You gain a huge damage shield for 8 seconds, which is 8 seconds is a long enough time to basically heal yourself up, cast your runes, put your block up, and kind of defend yourself and get saved, especially if you have a healer in the group who's taking care of you. Then you basically, this will save your life every 15 seconds, which is basically, it will save your life every battle or every 15 seconds within a boss battle, so multiple times. So if you get that hit where you're supposed to die, you get that, that huge shot from the boss, this damage shield will, instead of you dying, will put up a huge damage shield, so where now they basically have to hit you again with another huge hit, or realistically, you're not going to be able to kill you. So this will just this will keep you from dying, and then you'll get hit, your shield will go up, your healer, or you will heal yourself up, and you'll keep fighting. So this thing's really awesome. It'll save your life over and over again. The cool thing is it's every 15 seconds too. So I mean, basically, it will save your life over and over again in a battle, or at least save your life every battle if you need to. So you craft all that set. And then what I've been working on is kind of using the Warlock set, because I had a bunch of magicka, but I've kind of wanted to boost my recovery of that magicka, because what will happen is during the battle, if I express all my magicka out, I use it all, well then I'm kind of just standing there, so blocking. So I'm waiting for my magicka to recovery. So I use that rune, which helps regenerate magicka, and then I'm starting to put some of this warlock set just on the rings, just so I can have a bit more magic regeneration. So the sustainability in this build is really strong, to where while I'm fighting, I can express my magicka. If somehow they're still alive, then I can just hold my block, hold my shield up, and kind of use my stamina for a little bit, for a few seconds, while my magicka regenerates. So within 3 to 5 seconds, I have my full pool of magic back, basically. So that's my main build for this paladin build. I would, like I said, if I were to know I was going to be dungeoning, then I would switch the enchantments out on the armor with health enchantments instead of magicka enchantments. And I would switch probably my DPS attacks, some of my DPS attacks like that Ray of Light, with like the absorption of spells and shields and stuff. So just switch a couple of those out if you need to. And then I was going to show just here under the character. And you kind of see, so, and this isn't everything boosted up right now with all my stuff. Let's see. But you can kind of get an idea. Magicka health, my max magicka is 20,000. My maximum health is 11. It gets to around 15,000 when I have all the shields and stuff on it, basically. But so I would switch that if I was going to be more tanky. But I just don't really need it when I'm soloing bosses. It's more than enough health with all the resistances and all the protections that I have to boost that. But if I am going to be doing dungeons and veteran dungeon stuff, I would definitely switch all that out, and I would even boost the health up to where it's even more than 20,000, probably get up to like 25,000 or more. But the big thing is the spell resistances down there, physical resistances. When I cast, let's see if this works. When I cast that rune, it should boost it up a little bit. So now my spell resistance is 20,000. My physical resistance is 14,000. So I'm not taking much damage in. And during the battle, I also have all those bubbles that are kind of protecting me. So just wanted to make the video here. See, and even here, the magicka, I have all my attributes pretty much in it. I would switch this if I was going to be not soloing. If I was going to be in a group and be a tank, then I would switch that to health. And so just kind of switch my boost to magicka to my health, just switch the health to magicka out. And then the other little trick is I do have Lycanthropy Werewolf. I don't use the werewolf, I just use the passive in it that gives you a stamina regeneration for 15% while you're in combat. So what that is that enables me to have a health boost, and mainly I'll focus on magicka and health, and I have a small amount of stamina. I can have a small amount of stamina because I don't use it that much, just for defending when I need to. And then when I do use it, the Lycanthropy, the werewolf blood, refills it for me by the time I got to use it again. So it enables me to basically cycle out magicka use and stamina use. And so the magic recovery, I currently have that on there too, to help that when my magicka does go down, then I just rely on my stamina until my magicka is recovered. So so there's some of the ideas that you could basically switch it around, but just wanted to make a video on that and how to do basically my paladin build. It works really good. Check out the description below. There'll be a link showing the actual gameplay of this, like to some of the other how I basically run through a solo dungeon or a delve and shut down a couple of different things that are solo wise. So you can see how it really has a lot of sustainability in that. But that was pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys.